Welcome back to the Try with Alex podcast. I am Alex, your host, and today I am joined by Marty Pocock, a husband and father who has been on an incredible adventure with his wife Shell and two kids, Finn and Max. Their adventure begins in Vancouver as they travel south on nothing but their road bikes heading towards San Diego. They spend 3 days back in the Gold Coast restocking their bikes and then travel from the North Island of New Zealand all the way to the south. We also talk about things like Marty's triathlon experience. He has raced Ironman Cairns, where I'll be racing later this year. I had an incredible time chatting with Marty, and I'm sure you're going to love this talk. If you do enjoy the podcast, please like and subscribe. And as always, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast. Alrighty. Marty.
Here we go.
Guys, I'm joined today by Marty Pocock, is that correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Marty Pocock. We met last week on a Gold Coast Social Tri Club ride. So out there for about 3 hours and we just got chatting. And Marty has got an incredible story, which I'm really, really excited to share with you. And I can't wait for you to get into the nitty gritty of this, mate. But first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Where'd you grow up? Who were you like growing up as a kid? And yeah, who are you now?
Yeah, sure. So Queensland kid. Grew up Central Queensland, Rockhampton, and then made the move to Brizzy sort of after high school. Get out of the small country town and hit the big smoke. And then have lived all over Gold Coast, Brizzy, Sydney, Mudgee, Central New South Wales,
all over
London. Yeah, bit of travel.
London as well. I've lived in London. Yeah, when were you there?
Probably well before you.
A
A little bit older than you.
How old
Not
are
giving
you
too
now?
much away. 42 this year, so yeah.
Don't look a day over 32, mate. It was funny, actually, when we were riding, I think I asked you how old you were, and because we were riding this traffic around, I thought you said 32. And I was like, oh, yeah, I believe that. And you were like, no, mate, 42. I was like, fuck.
That's about the time my legs were blowing up, but yeah.
Keeping in mind that you were on a road bike, I was on my TT, and you were very comfortably keeping up.
Yeah, it was a good spin.
But you've been doing a bit of cycling, mate, lately.
Yeah. So I guess probably into the trip, hey.
So what have you done? Tell me what.
Yeah, so we've been back.
adventure was.
We've been back for 2 months now. I'm back to the real world, but we took a 4-month break. Packed up our house and headed off. We went overseas, 4 bikes. My wife and my 2 kids, so 13, 15-year-old. And we jumped on a plane with 4 bikes in boxes and 2 tents and sleeping gear and cooking gear and
My first question is how on earth did you convince the missus to do an adventure like this? 4 months away with the kids on the bikes.
I don't know. We kind of just the algorithm must have figured out that we like the outdoors and cycling and put 2 and 2 together with travel and started feeding us all of these bike packing clips. So that's kind of like we just kind of fell into the YouTube world of bike packing and what's this about and sort of went down that spiral and then next thing we're buying gear and bikes and booking airfares and stuff. So
you've got back 2 months ago. It was 4 months away, which means that 6 months ago you left.
Yeah.
But I want to know, before you left for this big adventure, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty of this adventure very, very soon. When was the decision made that you wanted to do something like this, and how long was the planning process to getting it done?
So we probably pulled the trigger around about December the year before, and we left in the September. We actually ended up pushing it back. We were supposed to leave in the June, and we pushed it back 3 months. Had a few health things going on. So I mean, we were ready to go in a 6-month window kind of thing, but ended up being about 9.
So 9 month planning. And I believe, I'm not sure if I've got this right, but I believe the plans changed a little bit. Is that correct?
Yeah, we originally we were supposed to we were going to go coast to coast across the state. So we were going to go from West Coast over to the east and then through the middle.
Yeah, right.
So, and then as it kind of got closer, I had some health stuff, and then it was like, I don't know, there's a whole third of the country there in the middle in the States that, I don't know how your geography is, but there's lots of cane fields and lots of cornfields and farming and, like literally weeks on end where you see nothing but agriculture. So, and just if something went bad, we kind of, had that not immediate help on hand kind of thing. So we changed the route. We ended up planning to go from Vancouver and south to Mexico, and then we added on the New Zealand trip as well too.
All right, so the plan was to go across horizontally along the States.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go through too much of not a lot over there. So we decided to change the plan and go Vancouver. So we flew in to Vancouver from the Gold Coast.
Yeah, did a little hop. So we went, we went Brizzy, LA to Vancouver, and then we, got the bikes and built them in the airport on the.
Well, I was just about to bring this up because, all right, so Marty's Instagram, I'm going to plug it right now for you. The whole family has an Instagram called Showering in Flip-Flops. And I have scoured this Instagram. It is incredible. And one of the most insane videos, I'll link it here, is these guys with their bike boxes in the airport in Vancouver assembling all of your bikes.
Yeah.
It is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so like we packed pretty light, obviously. Like, every gram you carry is, you're taking it up a hill with you. So we packed fairly light, but yeah, we had the bike boxes fully loaded, and it was quite the spectacle in the Vancouver International.
Now
putting bikes together.
You say you packed light, but I've seen these bikes, and again, I'll link them here. These bikes had everything on them. They had bags where I didn't even know you could put bags on bikes. Right?
Yeah. So
what were you carrying on your bike? Obviously, 4 months away. But
yeah, 4 months away. So it's kind of, it's a trade-off, right? Like with anything in cycling, right? It's are you comfortable on the bike or are you comfortable off the bike kind of thing. So, but literally like. And we shaved some weight when we went to New Zealand as well too. Just like really went hardcore and went, all right, what can we survive without, and try to trim it back.
Was that because of the experience in America? Did you find that was too heavy?
No, we just like there was stuff that you kind of can, you can survive without, and
probably getting used to it.
Yeah, and the riding in New Zealand we knew was going to be tougher as well too, kind of thing. So we were doing a bit more gravel and that sort of thing. So wherever we could make it a little bit easier for ourselves, that's what we just sort of tried to do. So.
Now, whether you are like Marty and his family traveling around the world on your bike, or you are an age group athlete like me, Pillar is your go-to performance health brand to get you to the start line in the best possible condition. I've been using their triple magnesium for my sleep and recovery lately, but I've also started using their creatine monohydrate. I have 1 scoop in my coffee every morning, and let me tell you, I have been noticing some massive benefits already. Now, not all creatines are made equal, and in the case of Pillars, it is made from something called CreaPure, which is made from Germany, and it is the purest form of creatine monohydrate available on the market. And on top of that, it's also certified by Informed Sports. Now, why should any endurance athlete take creatine? Well, here are some reasons. The first one is the energy production. Creatine helps replenish ATP in the body. Now, ATP, if you were paying attention in high school, is the body's main energy source. Now, if you've got faster access to energy, then it means better performance, right? It's pretty simple. The second thing is recovery. Because creatine helps replenish the glycogen in the muscles faster, that reduces the muscle damage and inflammation, which is super important if you're backing sessions up day in, day out. And finally, the cognitive benefits are massive. For anyone that's done an endurance athlete, you'll know that being able to concentrate throughout the entire period of the race or the event is as important as having your body ready for it. So the reduction in mental fatigue and the improved focus that you get from creatine is super important for your endurance athletes. Now, if you would like to try Pillar, you can head to pillarperformance.shop and use the code ALEX for 15% off your first order. For the North American viewers, you can head to thefeed.com and use that same code ALEX for 15% off your first order. Massive thank you to Pillar for supporting this episode of the Try with Alex podcast. Let's get back into it.
We had, I guess, start off with the fork. So we had 5 6-litre fork bags. So one side was sleeping bag.
So just for the complete novices here, the fork bikes are on the front down near the wheels.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they bolt onto the forks right near the disc brake. So one side we had sleeping bag, and the other side was clothes. So literally for a 4-month trip we had a 6-litre bag that held all our clothes. So we each had one of those.
6-litre bag. It's not a big bag.
No.
It's a small bag to have all your clothes.
So yeah, so anybody who struggles to fit into 7 kilos on Jetstar,
There's no excuses.
We were probably under that for all 4 of us, to be fair. So.
Okay, so you've got your clothes on one side of the fork, you've got your sleeping bag on the other. So that answers my question of where you were sleeping.
Yeah.
You were obviously camping for most of it.
Plenty of camping. Yeah.
We'll go to that soon. Let's stick to the equipment for now.
Yeah. I ran a full frame bag. That carried pump and tubes and spare parts and that sort of stuff and tools. And just sort of stuff that I needed access during the day, bike lock, and that sort of stuff went in there. Headlamps, all of those sorts of bits and pieces, battery packs, that sort of stuff. And then on my bike, when we were in the States, I had a rack and 2 gravel panniers either side, so a little bit bigger, 12-litre bags each side of the bike.
Yeah.
So one side was the kitchen, the other side was the pantry. And then we had home up top. So I had the tents on the back of my bike.
So you're obviously being dad. I assume that your bike was the heaviest.
Yeah. So I took a little more than my share to try and even things up a bit.
Yeah. How heavy are we talking? Like if you were to weigh the whole bike?
It was probably sort of 25 to 28 kilos
heavy,
kind of thing. So yeah, I mean like your TT bike would be
7 or something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably about 3 of those. I'm guessing by the time you put everything on it. So yeah, but like in a little inflatable pillow. Little inflatable mats and stuff to try and be a little bit more comfortable at night, and like it adds up pretty quickly the weight and stuff by the time you throw in some cooking gear and whatnot.
Well, that's what I was about to get to. Is like another heavy one's cooking gear. Like you were camping most of the time, so what cooking equipment did you have, and what were you usually eating when you were camping?
Yeah. So it was we had like a small butane burner with a what's called a pocket rocket. So a lot of people use them for hiking. We had a single pot that we used that we could cook up four meals in at a time. And then we each had a plate and a spork and so plenty of pasta, lots of carbs wherever we could get them. Like
homemade pastas, or were they like the freeze dried meals?
We kind of stayed away from like the prepackaged hiking type sort of style meals. We tried to eat fresh as much as we could. A little bit tricky in the States. There's kind of some food deserts that we were going through. So it was kind of like get what you could, and we'd eat out here and there and that sort of stuff. But it was really more about availability and I guess like between timing between resupplies as well too. So if you knew you were going to be a day or two between, it was like
had to restock everything and carry it all.
Yeah, for sure. And that gets really heavy really quick. So when you're carrying food for 4 people, it adds up. So
my good friend Cam Bostock has just hiked the PCT from Mexico to Canada. So similar sort of a thing, but hiking obviously. And one thing I noticed with him is because he vlogged the whole thing as well. So many, I think they call them angel hikers.
Trail angels?
Trail angels, that's it.
Yeah.
So, people that would just help out, leave food out, leave water out. Did you have any of those experiences while you were riding?
A little bit in New Zealand, more so. Yeah. Probably on the basis that they have there's an annual brevet that they do there that goes from top to bottom. So, and we sort of followed some of that trail on the way. So there's a bit of that going on there. After this trip, I did a ride from the Gold Coast to Sydney and ran out of water, and so I think it was probably a very very nice trail angel that day. But I was literally riding along with my empty water bottle, trying to show cars that it was empty. Thankfully, I had this dude pulled over and filled me up, filled all my bottles up. He drained all his kids' water bottles to load me up and got me through. So.
Some of the most heartwarming stuff that I saw on your Instagram page is when people would I think you'd thank them, they would house you and things like that. Yeah. So you were camping obviously a lot of the time. How often were you staying in a hotel, or how often were people helping you and letting you stay there? Yeah. So
there's a cycling community called Warm Showers, and so it's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of couch surfing, but it's sort of similar sort of deal.
Okay.
But it's cyclists for opening their home for other cyclists that are traveling kind of thing. So we did that maybe 3 or 4 times, and it was probably more for the experience and just to just learn a little bit of local knowledge and give the kids that experience of wherever we were.
But what are we talking? So camping, what, 80% of the time, 90% of the time?
Yeah, so States we probably camped the first maybe like 7 weeks pretty solidly. Like there might have been like a hotel here and there in that 7 weeks. And then sort of after we got out below San Francisco, we kind of made a call when we were in Santa Cruz. The campsites were kind of just getting a little bit, obviously we'd sort of come back into more densely populated areas.
Yeah,
and
hard to camp,
so it was a bit more urban, a bit more homeless. It was, and that was, we can talk about that a bit as well, but it was, it became like a little bit confronting and,
especially for the kids as well.
Yeah, got kids to look after and, like, we're wrecked. So like, you know what it's like when you've ridden all day, like
feeling it today.
You need those hours of recovery kind of thing. And if you're sort of looking out of the tent at every little noise that's going on, it gets tiring.
Yeah. Were there any days where you weren't riding? Did you have like rest days?
Yeah. So we took some time off the bike in San Francisco. Our neighbours here in Broad Beach, they actually live most of the year in San Francisco, so we got to hang out with them, which was pretty cool. And so we took some time there. LA, I have an aunt there that put us up for a bit. Some friends that we know from years ago, wakeboarding and whatnot. Yeah.
So introduce me to the family. It's Shell.
Yep.
Finn is your little girl, and Max.
Yeah, you got it.
How old are the kids?
So Shell's my age. Finn is 15, turning 16 this year, and Max has just turned 14. So.
Just turned 14. So I saw on a couple of the reels on your Instagram that was it a couple of races going on that Max was entering while you were away?
Yeah,
How cool is that?
we just Taupo was never on our itinerary, and we ended up in Taupo for a bit. We booked an Airbnb and we took a few days off the bike, and we kind of rolled into town, and there's a bit of a circus going on with Taupo Challenge, it's called.
Yeah.
And so it's a road cycling event predominantly, and they do 1 or 2 laps around Lake Taupo, so it's like a 320 or 160k race, road race.
Yeah.
And wasn't quite keen on putting him up for that, but we signed him up for they had a gravel race as well too.
Yeah.
So we told a couple lies about his date of birth on the entry fee to sneak him in, and he did pretty well.
Really?
Yeah. So it was like a field of 230, and I think he finished like 130 or something like that. And
awesome,
everyone's like our age kind of thing. So
did the kids grow up riding like whole childhood?
No. So the bike thing kind of was a means to the travel, I guess. I've done a bit of triathlon and that sort of stuff, and so has Michelle.
Yeah.
Kids have done a bit of riding here and there kind of thing, but it was just about unlocking that door to have the trip and have the experience.
So I imagine there must have been some form of training beforehand for them. Like you had to have. Not really. Just rock up and ride.
We kind of just showed up at the start line, right? So like
we're talking like how many Ks? Like 4,000 Ks?
Yeah, we did 4 in the States and then another 2 in 2.5 in New Zealand or something. So
just rock up at the start line and just get going.
So I mean the kids are fairly fit, so they both do surf rescue, and Finn's like an endurance swimmer, so she's done some longer swimming events and that sort of stuff. So I guess the engines were pretty good, but like bike fitness definitely was something that we like. Your body just gets used to doing it day after day.
Adapting to it pretty quickly. Probably the first week or two is probably the hardest.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, and there was some hills at the start on Vancouver Island, which schooled us pretty quick on making sure you're getting the most recovery time in you can of an evening kind of thing, and so good.
All right, walk me through any hairy moments, any frightful moments, any moments where you're like, Jesus, this is a bit much now? Anything like that?
No, like touch wood, like we had, like, I think you, like, regardless of the style of travel that you're doing, you're always going to have that, that one weirdo that's kind of like, and we had our fair share of that, but in the main, we found more people that were wanting to help us and have a chat and buy us drinks at a service station or do things like that. That just inspired by what we were doing.
At a service station, Fox here in this story, absolutely.
So that was usually an afternoon favorite. It was just like load up on the chocolate, load up on the sugar, get the sour gummy worms going on, and
It's a funny world, man. Like I think that a lot of people would view something like this as super scary, and that everything could go wrong. But like you say, I'm a big believer that when you put yourselves out into those situations, people will help, man. People are like the majority of people are amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
All they want to do is help other people, right? You're going to get the odd weirdo or the old wacko, right? But I think that people enclose themselves and don't take on those adventures or don't take on those risks because of that outlier.
Yeah, my advice to anybody who's listening is just like just take that step. I mean, it doesn't have to be a bike packing trip or as such, but like if it's something that you want to do, the only thing that's stopping you is you. Like people do this. Like this is a way that people travel. Like get out there and get amongst it. It's not that scary.
We could end the podcast right there, and I feel like we've added value somewhere, mate. I reckon someone will take action from that. Absolutely. Right, nitty gritty stuff. America, you said there was a little bit different terrain to New Zealand. Like, how was the terrain in New Zealand? Obviously, a lot less of kilometres. It wasn't anywhere near as far.
Yeah. So we tried to in America we were following pretty much the coast road. So like we had the ocean on the right of us like pretty much for 80-90% of the trip. And so we were always on tarmac mostly. There was a couple little detours that we took and kind of got a bit of gravel here and there and, farm roads and that sort of stuff. But it was, I would say it was probably 95% a hard surface. Yeah. Got to New Zealand and day one, so we landed into Auckland. And we've found a guy on Facebook. It's quite a mission to get to Cape Reinga, which is the northern tip of the North Island. You've either got to catch public like buses and then shuttles, and there's 4 of us and 4 bikes. It was getting really difficult. And they have this weird thing over there where it's up to the bus driver if they'll take you or not. So it's really? Like, so you can have your bike and stuff sitting there and they'll be like, no, we're full, we're not loading you on. So we were like, this is too hard. So we reached out to a Facebook group of these people that do the brevet and just asked if anyone had a dual cab ute that they could, that they'd drive us from Auckland to the tip. So we had this guy that took us up on the offer and we paid him some money and picked us up from all 4 bikes. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and it's quite a drive as well too. Like it's just like 6, 7, 8 hour drive or something like that.
How much you paid him?
It was $1,000.
Yeah. A nice little pocket for him.
Yeah, for sure.
For a 7-hour drive.
Good day. And so I guess kind of probably going back to the whole warm showers thing that we were talking about a little earlier on. So Greg, the guy that did this, he landed in Brisbane a couple of weeks ago, and he's on a bike trip now. We might have just finished from Brisbane down to Sydney, and so he came and stayed with us, and we got to catch up with him again and whatnot. So that was kind of really cool. So I think that's like, I don't know, that's for me, the people that you meet when you're traveling is just as important as going and see the tourist sites and that sort of stuff. Like that really makes the experience. There's
a quote that I love. I can't remember who said it, but it's not about the destination or the journey. It's about the company. Yeah. And I truly believe that. I think that it's definitely not about getting to the end point and being like, yes, I'm here, I've done it. It's the journey's part of it, definitely, and there's so many amazing moments along the way, but it's who you spend your time with. And I think that if you don't take on those adventures, you miss out on the journey, definitely, but you miss out on the company, the people that you meet. It's
100%.
Incredible.
And so like daily, we were torn because we'd always have these people like, wanting to chat kind of thing. And like at times it'd be like, guys, like we've got, like we need to ride. Like we got kilometres to punch through here. And then like often you'd be like, you get like 5K down the road and you're like, I should have spent more time talking to that guy. Maybe he lived in the next town and I was staying in his backyard or something like that. Like could have got a pickup out of it. Could have led to a deeper connection with somebody. So.
Were you on a time schedule at all? Like you said, like you're gonna keep going, but did you have your flight booked back to?
Yeah. So we had the flights all kind of locked in.
So you had to be.
Yeah, but like I mean, there was always backup plan was rent a car and throw the bikes in and bail out kind of thing. But I think there was always this like it was never for us or for me. It was never a question of not getting the trip done kind of thing. Like it was just something that we chip away at every day and we will get there kind of thing. there's a part of me that just didn't want it to be in a hire car kind of thing and miss out on the experience.
All right, I want to talk about highlights. I want to highlight one myself that I've seen that I would love you to talk about, and that is the bike ride that you had coming into Santa Monica Pier. So you've ridden for how many days on end now?
Yeah, so that would have been like, I don't know, maybe like, I feel like that might have been like sort of 8 weeks worth of pedaling to
and then coming down to the beach there, and that looked like such a cool moment.
Yeah, it was super cool, and it was kind of this like realization that like, holy shit, we did it.
Yeah.
And didn't capture it on the video, but my aunt lives in a place called San Pedro, which is down near Long Beach, if anyone knows LA, and I've maybe visited her 4 or 5 times since I was a kid, kind of thing. So I've got like really strong memories of that home and that sort of stuff. You know, spending time there as a kid, and like to show up and like as we get closer and closer to my aunt's house, it was just like it was like I'm feeling half choked now, kind of thing. It was just like this real like, holy crap! I just rode my bike to my aunt's place. So yeah.
That is awesome.
Super cool.
Any other highlights that really stand out for you?
I think it was probably the tough days. And like there's a million memories to never cover them all in a chat. But it was the tough days. Like we did this trail. Well, actually, 2 particular tough days in New Zealand that kind of stand out. But day 1, we rode this what's called 90-mile beach, like literally pedaling on the beach.
Yeah,
and
Cam did this. He hiked it, and I think it's at the top, is it?
Yeah,
the very top.
Very tip.
Yeah, so it was his last day. He went to the bottom of the top, and he said, "I'm just going to knock this whole thing out." It was 160 k's, whatever it was, 140, and he just hiked all through the night and everything at this beach. It was empty. It has a crazy video to watch. Yeah.
So we had like some people get tailwinds and they'll ride at 40 kilometers an hour on the beach and just gets. We didn't. We got headwinds and we did about somewhere between 10 and 12 kilometers an hour.
Jesus.
And it wasn't like we were just dawdling along. We
were
working our guts out to do 12 kilometers an hour. It was like soul destroying. And so like I think with the tides and stuff, we didn't get on the beach until maybe a little after midday, but like didn't get off the beach until sort of like 9 o'clock at night. It's dark and it's we were all
camped that night.
We were all smoked. We did, but we there was a campground that we stayed at. So we wanted to get off the beach and get into this small little town and kind of set up and put our feet up.
And was that at the end of the New Zealand trip then, or
that was day 1?
Day 1, okay. So you were going
like,
south.
Holy shit! Like we're feeling Well, like we kind of had our legs on us by then as well too. A couple months worth of riding under our belts, so like feeling pretty like
that would have been a rude shock.
Look, we've just done 4,000 k's. Look at us, and we're like, whoa, we just got schooled.
Yeah. What was the longest day on the bike? Kilometre wise or time wise?
I think we did. We had a couple of 12, 13 hour days kind of thing. Like that's pushing pedals as well too. So like that's not much time for stopping in there. I think with the kiddos, 150, and then I ripped a 250 on my trip from Goldie to Sydney.
150 with the kids, that's a monster day, especially with those bikes.
Yeah.
That's a monster day. I did 123 today on my TT bike, like under my fan and like watching TV and stuff, and I was cooked, like absolutely cooked. Like I can't imagine with the kids and the bikes, like.
and that's kind of the hardest thing, right? So from a background of doing triathlon and riding on 25mm tires and being up sitting on 35, 40 k's an hour is sure, no problems. We're doing like 17 is kind of like a pretty normal speed. 17 to 20 is kind of loaded, fat tires, terrain.
We have to though, don't you? Like it's an endurance thing.
Yeah, for sure.
No clip-in pedals, I imagine?
I ran dual-sided, so I had flats on one side and clips on the other side. So,
on the pedal? Cool.
Yeah.
So you could just make up the day what you want to do?
Yeah, so it was mostly clipped in, but it was just like, if there was sort of, gnarly dirt that we're on kind of thing, I'd leave myself on.
The kids though, just
flats. It's just
cool.
easy jumping on and off and sightseeing and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so you finish America, you're Vancouver all the way to LA. Did you go further than LA? Or just...
Yeah, we kept going. We went down to the border at just a little further south than San Diego. So.
Okay, great. And then you finished that. That's about a 4 month. No, that was.
So that was about 2 months.
2 months,
trip, I guess. Yeah, two and a bit.
2 and a bit. And then you fly back to the Gold Coast.
Yep.
Now, how many days to restock? How many days did you spend on the Gold before you did New Zealand?
3 nights in and back in our own beds. We had some time to recover in LA and kind of be touristy stuff, all that sort of stuff. And then we came home, flew into Brisbane. I think it was cheap, and the flights were. I was being side ass, and the flights were cheaper. We got ourselves back home, unboxed these bikes, went through all of our gear, and kind of bought some new stuff, and changed out some tires and stuff, and threw out some clothes, and grabbed some freshies.
3 days, and then
3 days,
straight back on
and then,
flight.
back to over to Auckland, and
were you assembling the bikes in the airport there as well?
No, so we stayed at an airport hotel, and then Greg the dude drove us up, and we had our first night camping, and literally he dropped us off with our bikes, and I think we kind of tipped the contents of the boxes out. He took our empty boxes for us, and we built them there at the lighthouse on the tip.
It's just wild. Did you ever think to maybe split them up, just do one, and then have a couple of months back home and relax, and then get back into it?
No, I think
back to back.
Well, I think it's kind of tricky to get that much time off work as well too. So we'd already they were comfortable with the idea that we're taking off 4 months for the trip across country, and then I was just like, let's just keep going. So yeah, that's what we did.
I absolutely love it, man. I really aspire to be a dad like you one day. I think it's incredible that you're, just taking on adventures, and you've got a really supportive wife that's on board with that. When I told my partner, I was like, you would never dare what the guy that I was riding with today's doing. It's just wild.
I'm probably telling all of the rosy happy parts. Like it was there was some challenges.
Yeah, let's
for sure.
talk to me about this, because when I heard the story initially, my immediate thought was a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old riding 4,000 plus kilometres day in, day out. There's going to be so many moments where they're just like, fuck this, man.
Yeah. So most of it was earlier in the trip kind of thing, and then we kind of got, we got ourselves together, and we just got better and better.
Yeah.
I led a few family discussions. From time to time.
Who got better?
Probably code for me losing my mind and yelling at somebody on the side of the road just to keep pedaling. But yeah, no, the kids both did amazingly well. But their resilience is there, and that was part of the reason that we did this was just to give them that in their lives, that's bred into them now. They can never lose that.
Mate, it is one of the coolest stories that I have ever heard, and I've heard some pretty cool stories. And to think that they can now go to school, or somewhere down the line they meet a partner and they can share this story with them, it is unbelievable. I think it is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, forget about them. I want to be telling this story when I'm in a nursing home. And I don't think that's kind of the end of it. I've had a few people say, hey, you need to write a book, you need to do this. People do this. This is actually a way to travel kind of thing, and live. In fact, people do round the world trips, just like this. So I think it's probably something that we would like to do a little more of. I think.
Right. So what's next on the cards then?
Haven't got anything locked in or planned. I think probably, and timing wise as well too. Finn's going into grade 10, and school gets a little more serious and that sort of stuff. So it was kind of our last opportunity to get this time with the kids before graduate high school and uni, and the real world kind of takes over. But
So back on the Gold Coast now, then. What are you going to be doing here?
Back to work. So
any more tries happening?
Yeah. Kind of got a little bit of unfinished business with Ironman. So
let's get into this, because obviously my journey at the moment is all about a sub 10 Ironman at Cairns. So I have a lot of followers that are going to be watching this that love the triathlon space, love Ironmans, and let's talk about what Ironmans have you done before?
So I've done a think I've done 5 70.3s, and I did cans full.
Done cans full.
Did cans full.
Tell me all about it.
I only done it once, and my lead into it was not that great. I had a little incident on the bike just 11 weeks before race day.
Bad, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I had a handlebar broke off training with a tri group that I ride with here, and I like just lost control. Like the handlebar snapped. I slumped into the steering stem and completely lost control. Still clipped in. Slid the back wheel and then ended up pointing at the opposite side of the road, and there was a car coming and kind of bailed out at the last seconds, and it drove through my legs, and it could have easily been lights out for me kind of thing, but got myself.
So that was 11 weeks.
That was 11 weeks before the
Cairns.
race. Yeah.
That was surely right anyone off.
Yeah. Well, no. I kind of went the other way. I was like, that was my goal then.
So what was how badly were you injured?
I broke my ankle and severed a bunch of tendons in my finger. So I ended up with 2 screws in my ankle and in a moon boot for kind of the next 6 weeks.
So that means no training for 6 weeks, no running, no riding.
Well,
did you do any swimming? Probably not.
Yeah, I ended I'll send you a clip later on of me.
Definitely
sure. Down Tally Creek on my on my knee scooter and my hand paddles. And then I had so I had sort of had the bike set up at home, and maybe sort of 2 or 3 weeks, had some time on the bike on the trainer, and so I made do. It was like just a bit of gym here, bit of doing what I could to keep the fitness up, and then physio, anti-gravity running machine for a bit there, and then I think I kind of got myself up to a whopping 15 or 20 kilometres on the bitumen before I jumped up on a plane to Cairns.
Okay. And then you raced, obviously, even though you probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, well, everything's booked. We had family going, shell racing.
So tell me about the day. Obviously, it's not the ideal prep for it.
Yeah, so I had a disaster. Swim went awesome. Swimming's my background. The bike, I had a bunch of mechanical. I have an hour stoppage on my Garmin, so flats and a whole bunch of stuff. Disaster.
You do have some unfinished
disaster. And then I think I probably added an hour to my run leg on account of doing a lot of walking, hobbling. So
well, that's probably fair enough. So what was the final time in the end?
Ended up with 13 hours. So
still incredible, like by normal standards.
Yeah, I kind of like an hour for stoppage for the bike, and I reckon I added that hour, so 11 hours is where I would have been.
If you were fit, maybe 10 and a half.
That's kind of, I was aiming for 11, and I think that's probably where I would have ended up had I not.
How long ago was that?
That was 2023. So
okay, so pretty recent. 2 years.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of when the whole bike packing thing sort of started. I spent a bit of time lying in a hospital bed and
kill your time sometimes.
Kind of watching some YouTube and then next thing buying luggage for a bike.
Okay. So you've got a bit of time now to go. When's the next Ironman?
I think maybe next year. So maybe we have to edit that out because my wife will be listening. But I'm thinking maybe next year. See how we go. We'll chip away at it.
All right, mate. Anything else you'd like to share today?
There's just so many funny stories.
I think we'll leave it there though, and we might try and get you back on with some more information next time. But mate, I really appreciate your time. It was incredible to hear that story, and I'm just amazed. I absolutely am, and I hope that one day I can take my kids down and do something incredible like that and have those memories to share with the grandkids later down the line.
Yeah, 100%. And it was really about trying to give them something. It wasn't about the giganticness of the whole thing. It was really just about selfishly wanting to spend some time with them and detune. We did the first 7 weeks without SIM cards in our phones and just having a total detox. And it was just us and our bikes and nature and get out there and Don't let anything stop you.
I'm going to ask you one last question that I'm going to try and build a habit of asking this question to every guest at the very end of the podcast is, if you could be in a room with yourself at 18 years old, what piece of advice would you give that 18-year-old self?
I think probably I wish I had started my fitness journey a little sooner. Fairly active as a kid, but that gap between say 20 and 30, being a young dad kind of thing at 25, and let things go further than I should have. It took me a long time to get back into it. So yeah.
All right, I like it, mate. Marty, thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate it. That was awesome.
So good.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed. You.